Hey, what's up, guys? Boxing with B.
Hey, Rob, without the paycheck.
Today is Mexican Independence Day. So first off, are you going to say it or am I going to say it?
Viva Mexico, hijos de la...
Beep! So, I mean, in boxing, let's just talk boxing just to, to talk about or to celebrate Mexican Independence Day.
And all the great fighters they brought to this world.
Yeah. So first off, what comes to mind when you think Mexican fights? Mexican boxing.
Like it's always saying, it's not a Mexican fight until you're fighting like a dog fight. Each going at it, no one going down. Pop, you give me this, I hit you back, you drop me, I get up.
Yep.
And let's finish this.
Yeah, exactly. So even people that are not Mexican, what do you know? They always say, they fight Mexican style.
Mexican style.
Mexican style. Triple G.
I was going to say, to you all newcomers and everything, you got Triple G. Everybody loved him because he was knocking everybody out. He came at it, you hit me, and I'm going to hit you even harder.
Yeah.
And he did it.
And then at the end, too, just to talk about him a little bit, when he would say stuff like, because at that time, Abel Sanchez was his trainer.
Yes.
Also Mexican. And he would say, also Mexican. Triple G's not Mexican.
No.
It's from Kazakhstan. But he would say, my trainer's Mexican. He's like, I love the Mexican people and stuff. And then the style. And then he'd say, ¿Cómo estamos?
Yeah.
¿Estamos
¿Cómo
bien?
está mi gente?
Something like that. It's just
¿Cómo estamos mi gente?
It's just funny to see that. But it's like the influence that Mexican style Mexico has on boxing is known around the world.
It had a lot of influence with Triple G because you have to remember when he was going to fight Canelo 1, it was split in the middle. You had a lot of Mexicans coming in. Triple G, Triple G, va a ver, somos mexicanos, es mexicano como nosotros.
Yeah, it's true because I think with Mexicans, they respect Mexican style fighters. Mexicans, I think, are the greatest fan base that you can have.
Yeah, they respect guys with heart.
Yes.
That won't give up.
Exactly.
That's
if you have heart and you get up, like they say, like the whole Aztec warrior style, if you get up, even if you're losing and you get up and you continue, you're going to get the respect from Mexican fighters. Look at Arturo Gatti. He was not Mexican. He is Italian, from New Jersey or something like that out there. But every time he'd fall, get back up. Bloodied up, get back up.
He would fight to the end.
Fan base is there. But, I mean, what boxer comes to mind for you? If someone told you, who in the history?
I don't have a lot.
Mexican.
My dad used to watch a lot, but the ones I used to love when I was little, I saw Salvador Sanchez.
Yes, and that's the word those are the two words I was looking for because I think when everybody talks about Mexican style or Mexican fighters, Salvador Sanchez is number one.
There's a lot of guys, but there's one guy that I remember that got under his skin. I can't remember. He's Puerto Rican, and he did not really want to knock him out. He wanted to hurt him. And he did that. He was one of those fighters that never gave up, never did it. To me, I never saw no one hurt him or beat him. The only thing that beat him in life was that speed in sports cars.
Yeah. Talking about Mexican fighters, there's way too many to cover everyone in one show. Because if we did that and we said we got everybody, we would get so much bad feedback because it's like,
this guy, you forgot about this guy. No,
you can't. There's
and you know
so
how much
many.
respect there is for Mexican fighters that even if they're not Mexican, they're considered. If you look at the list, they're considered
honorable Mexican. Yeah,
basically. Mantequilla Nápoles.
Well, he was a citizen, right? Later,
yeah, he was Cuban. He became a Mexican citizen, but the Mexican embraced him, and he became.
And look at the great fight that he gave us with, I think a lot of people don't even acknowledge this one, but Armando Muniz.
Yeah.
El Hombre.
I think it was 2 fights, I believe, right?
Yeah. And it was one of those where it's like, if we would have had YouTube or social media like we do now, back in the day when they were fighting those 15-round fights.
You would have saw a lot of differences.
Armando Muniz would have been one of those names where people are like, he's the people's champ. He would
have been the Oscar de la Hoya of his time.
Yeah.
An Olympian. A Latin fighter, a Mexican Latin fighter fighting.
So, okay, for my era, because you said Salvador Sanchez, but growing up, you would say is Salvador Sanchez for you?
For me, yes.
Okay, for me, I think for me growing up, it was just like anyone around my age would say Oscar de la Hoya.
Oh,
yes,
Oscar
he's Mexican-American, but at the end of the day, I don't care if you're Mexican and you live in the UK or you live wherever. If you're Mexican-American or Mexican whatever, you are Mexican. You have Mexican blood, and everybody takes so much pride in that too.
He was like us, Mexican Americans,
Yeah.
And he brought both nations to us. He was a beautiful boxer, but with power.
And look at this. In the ring, on an Olympic stage in front of the world. What did he do? Go up there with both flags. Yes, he was fighting for the United States, but he took the Mexican and the U.S. flag. And they had said before he went up, like, if you take those, you can get disqualified because this is an Olympic stage. You can't be repping two different countries. He went up there with his two flags.
And he got the gold medal around his neck.
And he did that for his mom. You know, Mexican heritage. It's just the Mexican heritage, the Mexican culture. It's just so, you know, what is it, like, engraved in our everyday life.
For us, it was great because he was from, we're all from LA. And he was from LA. Someone that grew up in the streets, running in the morning, smelling the panaderias, like he said.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody, once they saw how great he was going to be, they loved him.
And see, it's one of those things where it's like, I grew up watching Oscar de la Hoya. The world knows who Oscar de la Hoya is.
Yes.
And the world knows him as the Mexican-American boxer.
Yep. Until this day, they still know him as
the
a
golden
Mexican
boy. He is the golden boy, el niño de oro.
And his image is up there. Everybody could use that name, but they when you say golden boy, they won't think about, I think it was Donnie Lala. I don't know who else had the golden boy
even
name.
right now, you have Jorge Linares that calls himself el niño de oro.
Yeah.
He's from Venezuela.
Yeah. But they used it. But if you say, hey, the golden boy, Oscar's name's going to appear.
Exactly. But you know what? Aside from those two that we just mentioned, there's so many names. You know, Marquez. Marquez gave us great fights.
Oh, yeah. Him and Pacquiao's never going to forget Marquez.
Barrera.
Yes, Barrera.
Great fights. Eric Morales.
All the three fighters all the names you named are Pacquiao's favorite fighters.
Those were just great fights. So that was an era where we would watch.
Those three made him famous. Pacquiao was getting famous, but those three made him bigger famous. Yes, he beat the Mexican guys, but that's what made him love it because that guy, Mexico's all over the place.
Yeah.
So the Mexican fighters, how they started seeing this guy, he's like, what the hell? We can't knock out this, Filipino that's never happened before. Never realized it. Great champions come from all over the world.
Yeah.
And Pacquiao, I don't care what they say, he was a great champion. Yeah. Didn't duck nobody, went after them, and he fought like a Mexican. He was going toe-to-toe. But the speed that kid had showed up these Mexican fighters. But I love Marquez. First fight I saw him fight him, he didn't really know who Pacquiao was, and then he dropped him, and he dropped one. I think he dropped Marquez. I'm not sure if it's twice. If I can remember three. But I remember Marquez when he went to his corner, he said, I'm not going to fall no more. That's it. And oh, hell, that was fight turned.
See, that's the thing is like we said, Mexican fighters are known to have heart. They get in that ring and they go in there and give it their all. But most of the time it's because these Mexican fighters, along with other fighters from poverty, they come out and they put it all in the ring because they have to. This is the career that they chose to bring them, take them out a better life.
They make
give
them
them a
sound
better
like that
life.
famous Zapata phase. I'd rather die on my feet than on my knees. And these fighters go down. They could never. That's the sport of boxing. Yeah. You go in there thinking it's going to be a good fight, but sometimes you cannot come out no more.
And you know what? Mexican versus Mexican gives us great fights.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's even go into just talking about Chavez contra Oscar de la Hoya. Mexicano contra Chicano is how they basically sold it. Who was the real Mexican?
But you know what? We went to Vegas and you were in my arms. You were a little girl watching that fight with everybody yelling the whole world. I have to admit, my dad,
you guys hear that? I was there from day one.
Everybody that was there, I remember the majority was going for Chavez. There's only a couple of us that were going for De La Hoya. And man, even my father, when he got Chavez se lo va a chingar. Chavez tiene toda la experiencia que todo este muchacho que se cree nomás olimpiado. Well, guess what? Olimpiado beat him up to a pulp the first time and made him not get up the second time.
But see, these are just great fights that you always remember because they go in there and give it their all.
Yeah.
I don't care if people say Mexican American. Mexican is like when you get in the ring, Mexican style shows.
Yes, it does.
And Mexican style at the end of the day, I can't even talk because I'm going so quick. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be a brawl like we said before. It's fighters that have heart.
There's some good boxes in Mexico, that don't go brawling and people get mad, but they win.
Yeah. Look at even recently, every year we start to see more Mexican fighters come out. It's just never going to be an ending. There's never going to be an end to Mexican boxers.
Right now, I have to admit, Canelo's going to make history. He'll be the first one at that weight class.
There are controversies. Like you said, there's a lot of people that don't like Canelo. But at the end of the day, before we saw the Canelo that we know now, we saw the Canelo that had to work for what he had to get.
And he did. And he didn't complain. He didn't wait. I mean, he waited. When his opportunity happened, as he was going up, things changed. My view to him changed too.
Yeah.
But that's another issue.
His problem, whatever surfaced with his actions.
At least he's putting Mexico on the map. Everybody knows him too. Everybody fears him, and everybody loves him.
And look, I'm not saying that I approve of steroid use or any or enhancements. I don't approve of any enhancements, but you can't really talk about Mexican Independence Day as of now without mentioning, if we're talking about all Mexican fighters, we can't not include Canelo, because
he is great.
That bump in the road, it did happen. I don't approve of it, but at the end of the day, like you said, he is putting Mexico on the map.
Yep.
He doesn't stop. Leading up to that Mayweather fight humbled him too.
Yeah, but I think he should have waited a little bit. But he was being.
He should have. But look give him that he took the Mayweather fight.
Yeah, he did.
He took it. He could have said, "I'm not ready," which he should have. He shouldn't have taken that fight if he wanted to have a super, super squeaky clean record. But he took the fight.
Yep.
He thought he was going to win. He went in there with confidence, but he just didn't.
He didn't realize that the old man
couldn't do it.
The old man still had speed.
Yes.
And an elusive fighter.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. That role that everybody's trying to dominate, try to get, can't do it.
Yeah. Another thing, one thing I want to mention, every time we watch Mexican fighters enter the ring, I love watching it because I love listening to the music that we have too when they come
Canelo's
in.
last entrance, that was
I'm not even a fan of the big entrances when they do all this like huge
rockets and everything.
Concerts.
Having
Pepe Aguilar, his daughter. I think his son was even out there. It's like the whole thing, you just felt like Mexican empowerment.
Yes, and it was. It wasn't empowerment.
It really was. But what I was saying is like any fighter that comes in, they come into like Vicente Fernandez or whatever, No Me Sé Rajar. Even the songs that they come in with, it just really coincides with Mexican style fighting of like, No Me Sé Rajar, I don't know how to give up. That kind of song. They come into it, and I feel it. Like they're in the zone. And then they come into, a mí no me asustan tipos lenguas largas. Like all that is just like, yes, get in there. Like, let's go. Right when they come out, it's just like so empowering. I love watching that. And I even love hearing the national anthem at the big fights when you hear Mexico's national anthem. It's just saying with so much power all the time.
Yeah, that's true. But, me and Canelo, we have issues. But
we're not even on Canelo anymore.
Yeah, but that's what you left off on. So.
Well, okay, Leo Santa Cruz, another Mexican fighter out there.
That's a boxer puncher.
Yeah.
A lot of heart. Mexican style, Mexican power, everything shows on the fighter and his father. Yep. Battling of disease and everything. And being in his son's corner. When I know sometimes he shouldn't be there because of his illness, but he's there.
Yeah.
Walks with his sombrero, everything. Walking on his own. I think they pushed him this time with the wheelchair, but
he's
still in his son's corner no matter what. Sick or not sick, he's there.
And you know what? I just want to mention, like, we talked about some of the fighters from back then. It's so crazy because Oscar and Marquez and all of them, they're considered back then.
Too bad you can't remember when I had you,
Well, yeah, I don't remember, but...
The other thing spoiled about that, we were like in the area, and I was the one carrying, everybody said, no babies around, no nothing, and then everybody started eating stuff. They're like, they're thinking your nachos and everything.
Look at me now.
They look at her, they used to see her, and they go, and you go, oh, yeah, give me that.
Gosh, don't tell everybody that I like to eat, man.
I remember that. That was so funny.
That hasn't changed.
The lady sat down, you could hear her saying to her husband, ¿Qué te vas a comer primero? Oh, mira la niña. ¿Quieres? And you just grab it.
Did you regulate?
Yeah,
like, what are you giving my kid?
No, because they were right next to us, so I saw. But it was funny that you had the nachos and you tried grabbing the whole thing, and the lady, una, mi amor, una. I remember that right now.
Don't offer me unless you want to give me everything. But anyways, fighters now, like I said, we're going to continue seeing a whole bunch of Mexican fighters out there. But some current ones that I would, say that I have yet to see them fail to show Mexican spirit out there is
the light ones.
God, Carlos Cuadras, Juan Francisco Estrada. Those two names right there.
They're humble people too.
And what I like too is like the confidence that they have in themselves. Like despite having a loss, they have so much confidence in themselves. And even Estrada, what I liked that he said one time in the locker room before he went out, he said, I know that everybody considers Canelo as, the top Mexican fighter. And he's like, and with all the respect, I consider myself the top Mexican fighter. He has a
good fight. He has a good fight with that.
That day, we saw him go out against Cuadras. He seemed to be losing. It seemed like Cuadras was going to finish him.
That was a Mexican fight.
And what did he do? He turned that fight around and finished Cuadras. And Cuadras had said, I'm not leaving this fight in the hands of the judges this time. I'm going to finish him. And it looked like he was going to do it. I was like, oh, shoot, he's living up to his word. And nope, Estrada found it within him. Aztec warrior versus Aztec warrior.
They were punching each other.
Oh, my
Boom,
gosh. And look, now you just capitalize. You just keep going. You got an even younger fighter. You got Joshua Franco. Yes, a Mexican-American. But when he goes into the ring, what do people see that are not, let's say, not Mexican? They see a Mexican fighter in the ring.
Yeah, well, Joshua Franco's corner, remember I told you about his trainers. He always has good fighters.
Robert Garcia.
Yeah, he always has good fighters in his stable. You never know. But that fight, that even gave Maloney. Maloney was never known here in the States. I knew. The only one I used to hear about all the time, young kid coming up in Australia, was Constance Wu's son. I never heard about the other guy. Then I heard him, so I'll give the other guy credit. He's the only, for us old guys, he's the only other fighter that we know that is not Constance. Constance Wu is Russian, but he fought out of Australia. And he fought great champions.
Yeah.
He even fought Chavez Sr. and beat him. And Constance Wu made me a lot of money, but he's not Mexican. But that fight, that kid, Maloney.
Yeah.
He's like, to me, he's like another, the only one I knew that came out of Australia, great champion that came out of Australia, was Constance Wu. The second one I know is Maloney. Big props to Maloney. He made his name known all over the world.
Yeah. But I mean, like we said, Joshua Franco displayed the trilogy. Yep. Now there's 2 trilogies under his belt. Comes out and just performs. He just finds it within him, like, to just keep going. Mexican fighter right there.
Now that I got to meet Franco and him, he does look like the professor. I'm sorry, Mauricio Herrera is but he does. And I saw him, look like when he was a fighter without his glasses. Yeah, he looks vicious. He's coming to. But when he was out talking, he had his glasses on and everything. Yeah,
he's a professor.
Yeah, he's the guy that teaches you how to box, and he really teaches other fighters.
He really teaches you. Let's talk about just some current fights that have stood out to you that involve a Mexican fighter. I have one immediately. When they handpicked Mauricio Lara from Mexico to go to the UK and fight Josh Warrington. That, to me, was just a great performance because he was handpicked. Everyone expected Warrington to win. And what happens? Lara shows the Mexican warrior in him because there was no fans for him in the UK. They were all there for Warrington. And forgive me if I'm saying Warrington wrong. I don't know if it's Warrington or Warrington. But Lara went out there, put on a great performance, and finished their champion.
Knocked him out.
Not by decision, because if it would have went to the cards, he would not have won that.
No, they would have won something.
Finished him to where it was a shock to the world in the UK.
Yep.
Then you come back. You have the rematch. And, I mean, it was stopped by a headbutt. I mean, yeah, a headbutt that caused a cut, and then they had to stop the fight. But right before that, it looked like it was going to be the same turnout. And this time, he had people talking. He had people egging him on. The whole crowd booed him. He had water thrown at him as he was, what would look like water, thrown at him as he entered the ring. And what did he do? Entered with his sombrero, cue the music, a poncho, and then he just entered. Wait, did I add the poncho in my head? I don't remember if he had a poncho, actually.
I don't think.
I think he did. Maybe I added it in my head. Whatever. That's how it seemed to me when I was watching the fight. So if that's not how he came out, then that's how I thought he came out. And then in the ring, the power. Oh my gosh. He would take some hard shots from Warrington, but he just took it and returned it. And like his power just showed. It's like,
but you see, it's not only English fighters or anything, like even Mexican fighters, American fighters. Sometimes they choose the wrong person. They choose a person that has hunger in them, that wants to establish his name, wants everybody to know, because not everybody gets a shot at the brass ring.
Exactly.
All right?
Anyways, Mexican Independence Day. There's just too many things to talk about. That's what I thought of. Anything else that you want to add?
No, that I can remember. No, I was talking about Yori Boy Campus, the guy that never came, and he was like 50-0 with so many knockouts, and nobody wanted to fight him. Finally, he fought Trinidad, and he was beating Trinidad. He even knocked down Trinidad in the second round, but then the later rounds, he knocked out Trinidad out. But later on in life, they found out Trinidad wasn't really, how could I say it, a clean fighter.
Clean? He was cheating.
He was basically cheating.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And then you said you wanted to talk about Eric Morales and Barrera.
Oh, another great Mexican battle. Two Mexican fighters that both had heart, both had power. One became a boxer and the other one still became a puncher. And that's what made this fight great. going at it. Vegas was sold out for these fights because you never know who was going to win. And the true Mexican guys didn't know who they were going to go for because both guys
They didn't know who to choose.
No, both guys they knew were going to go out there and try to finish each other one off. I think there was a trilogy. I'm not sure, but I remember Eric beat him the first time, and I remember Barrera's famous words because he thought he did really good to beat him. He goes, "No sé qué tengo que hacer para ganar una pelea aquí en Las Vegas," because I think all the other fights were one was a knockout Pacquiao, and the other ones were decisions that he lost. But he came in to redeem himself and beat him. But those two, you should have seen at the weigh-ins, they hated each other so much that they became good friends now.
Yeah, I love seeing that. I've always talked about that, but they hate each other during the fights, during all that, and then at the end they're buddies.
Well, not too long ago they had Eric Morales, Barrera, and one more boxer.
That's what I was going to get to, is because they led up to Andy Ruiz.
Was that the fight?
Yeah, they were talking about it before the rematch. But that's a name we have to mention too. Andy Ruiz Jr., Mexican-American, but what did he do? He went out there and became the first heavyweight champion for Mexicans.
Yeah, basically. He was American, so he took the Mexican.
Still Mexican, like I said.
Yeah, that was...
Because that's what they even mention him as. They don't say the American, they say the Mexican.
And two, that was what you said before. A guy that... a British guy that handpicked a Mexican guy.
Why? Because he was chubby. He went out there. They're like,
I fell
we
for
got
that.
him.
I fell for that big ticket. You told me about the fight.
Did.
You told me about the fight.
But I told you because I had seen Andy Ruiz right before that fight. He fought this other guy. And I was like, how is this even happening still? He fought another, I forgot who it was, but he was a big guy. And I was like,
I think
that guy should finish him.
that had the WBO belt. He was trying to fight for the
I don't remember. I just remember
I believe
he was
so.
A bigger guy.
Yeah.
But Ruiz's hands were going. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's like butterbean. He's fast. And then next thing you know, something happens with one of the fights with Joshua, and then all of a sudden it's like,
the
boom.
other guy, they found an enhancement on him.
Yeah, and then they're like, boom, we'll take Andy Ruiz since he just won the last one. Hey, we'll take it, whatever. He goes out there and just shows his speed and power.
A heavy-set guy that you don't think is a boxer, you don't think he has speed, you don't have to, for a real top 10 fighter.
Yeah.
All right? It looked like when Andy Ruiz came in, they were looking and they were counting to bring him in the ring, you had Ivan Drago, all built like a rock.
That's literally what they were talking about with that
Ivan
one.
Drago, 6'8", built like a rock, muscle everywhere.
Yeah.
Against, not even Rocky. Rocky at least showed he had shape. This guy, to me, I thought it was a joke.
Andy Ruiz went out there and said something about Snickers.
Yeah, he had Snickers. I think he was training eating Snickers.
He was trying to get sponsored by Snickers at that time, remember?
Yeah, it was so funny that you're saying that, and I watched it, and you even told me, Dad, you go, man, you ain't going to do nothing. I'll watch the first round, and I bet you it's going to be over. He shut my mouth good.
He pretty much shocked the world, too. Literally shocked the world because everybody's like, what just happened?
Even the announcers, even the guy I hate from ESPN said, how is he a boxer? What made him, why is he a champion?
They were even saying like Joshua should be embarrassed, this and this and this, blah, 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 whatever.
But you forget, boxing is a combat sport. One punch changes the whole outcome.
Yep.
One punch changed the beast that I saw, the beast that I thought was unbeatable, Mike Tyson. Buster Douglas, one punch. Boom.
You could be tall, you could be short, you could be whatever. But if you go in there and you're at least you're the weight is there.
Yeah.
That's the even platform. But you have the reach and you know how to use it.
But you see,
or another fighter knows how to take it away from you.
Reese didn't have the reach.
But he knew how to take that away from Joshua. He took one, got inside, and did that.
To me, I don't think it was. To me, I know he gets credit. He won the fight. To me, it was luck because he was a hurt fighter, and Joshua went in there to finish a hurt fighter. And I remember I heard this a long time ago. The most dangerous fighter in the world is the hurt fighter.
Yep.
Because he has nothing to lose. Because he's losing now, so he's fighting for his life now.
Yep.
To stay on his feet. And what happened? Joshua was looking for his right hand, and all of a sudden, boom!
And Ruiz got dropped.
Yeah,
Ruiz got dropped, and then he got back up, and like you said,
he thought he was going to win. I'm going to kill this guy now.
But the difference was Ruiz was able to recover and fight.
I don't think he recovered.
Somewhat.
He swung. He was just swinging. He swung because what's his name?
More than Joshua?
He got closer to Joshua because Joshua thought, okay, this guy can't hurt me no more. I could get him. He had him because he was throwing all his power punches at him.
Yeah.
And when he was hitting him, he was rocking Ruiz.
Yep.
But then that one where he got rocked, he threw at the same time, countered it, and connected. And you saw that wobble when he connected. He goes, whoa, what happened? Yeah. And Andy Ruiz goes, and I bet you his corner was yelling, get him now, get him now. And he got him.
I mean, that just the best words that can answer all the best comment, I guess, for each of these fights is how they always yell it. Viva Mexico.
Viva Mexico.
That's it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Viva Mexico!
Fight.
We
Breaking news.
This is the guy that's going to give him the biggest fight.
And then guess what?
Fight.